Oh, hold it in committee? C4, hold in committee.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Community Development, Housing, and General Government Committee meeting. Presently, would the city clerk please call the roll of the committee?
Chair, Mayor Pro Tem Adams.
Here.
Vice Chair, Councilmember Scipio.
Present?
Councilmember Mundy.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Thank you, thank you. We have on the agenda today, we have 9 consent items and we have 7 general agenda items. And it is the custom of the council for committee or council members to pull consent items that they would like to have further discussion and to pass the balance of that consent agenda. Right now, I have items C4 to be held in committee. City Attorney, we have to vote to do that?
No, that's fine.
Okay, it has been requested that we pull C4 and hold in committee. And I've also had Councilmember Clark, item C5, and could I get a motion for the balance of the consent? Councilmember Larson, I'm messing up again this week. Go ahead.
I'd like to pull C1, C3, and C5.
Well, why not all of them? Anyway, C1.
C1.
I'm trying to keep it light in here today.
1, 3, 5, and 8.
3, 5, well,
1, 3, 5, and 8.
Robert had already put
Okay.
5.
All right. Could I get a motion, Councilmember
For what's
Clark?
left, I'll move approval.
Second.
Not much. It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the balance of the consent agenda. May we have the vote, please? And you'll vote electronically. And the motion passes all in favor. City Clerk, would you please call the first of many pulled consent items, please?
Item C1, resolution approving city policies to aid in administering federal, state, and local fiscal recovery funds from the American Rescue Plan action.
We have Attorney John Lawson. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the committee and council. John Lawson from the City Attorney's Office. This item came as an informational item back in October. Did you have a particular question, Councilmember Larson? Would you like a just kind of brief overview?
Just for clarity, there's a lot of regulatory data here, and it's a very dense document. But it's my understanding this is to bring us in compliance with federal requirements and guidelines. Is that what this document basically does?
That's correct. Yeah, there's 6 policies in front of you. 5 of them came as an informational item. It was presented last month. Those are the ones that are required by the Treasury, by the Uniform Guidance for the city to enact. That's coming new this month is one that is recommended for cities to enact. It's about program income. It allows and sets forth how the city can utilize ARPA funds. And if they generate program income, like you make a loan and then you get the principal repaid or there's interest on it, how that money can be repurposed. So that one's new.
So does this apply to agencies that have received ARPA money outside of the city government?
Funded by the city or just?
Funded by ARPA funds?
It would apply to the city as the recipient of the funds, yes.
Recipient of the funds, and so some organizations that are receiving ARPA money from the city, basically, would fall under this document now?
It would, with the exception of entities that are or with the exception of money that is revenue replacement. It doesn't apply to that. But strict, pure ARPA money, it would. That's not gone through the revenue replacement. It would apply to those.
I guess the question is, does this need to be disseminated down to the working level of the agencies that have received ARPA money? Now, here comes the answer.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Ms. Oliva.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the committee. I'm Tiffany Oliva, Director of Intergovernmental Affairs, and I'm managing our federal ARPA funds. The short answer is no. We use most of our American Rescue Plan Act dollars under the revenue replacement category, so this is not something that they would need to be in compliance with. Although I will say a lot of the policies are things that we already have in place as the city, like records retention and non-discrimination, and those things that they naturally in their contracts have to comply with.
So if any agency has a question, they should contact you.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
May I have
Move approval of C1.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded for item C1, and we will now vote. All those in favor, please vote yes. And the motion passes. Next item, City Clerk.
Item C3, resolution authorizing investment of $824,272 state ARPA and conveyance of land to Clayton Homes of Winston-Salem for the development of 22 three-bedroom, two-bath modular homes located in the North Ward.
Ms. Stillman and Councilmember Larson, your concern.
Just a quick question. This is listed, it's under $864,000 loan. Is it called a forgivable loan? So what are the terms of the forgiveness on this?
So the loan will be forgiven as each of the lots are sold. And really, it's a grant. But, so the city can have specific rights if there's something that happens or any clawback provisions that we need. We're offering it as a loan, a forgivable loan. So it's zero interest for the 15 months it takes for them to build, and then assigned or transferred over to the home buyer as a down payment assistance loan.
So the city is also transferring, besides the $864,000, the city's transferring the land at $1, right? So the land.
The city is, yes, we're also conveying land for $1. That is correct. Was that your question? I can't quite hear you. I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm sorry, and we're getting 22 affordable housing units out of this deal.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That's the question I had.
Are you good?
Yeah, well, sort of.
Thank you. Could I have a motion? Councilmember Scipio.
These are for sale homes, or are they rental units?
For sale.
They are for sale. Okay. I move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Would you all please vote when your screen comes up? And the motion passes. City Clerk, next item, please.
Item C5, consideration of items related to adoption of amended construction loan guidelines and Exhibit A, the construction loan financing plan summary for the city's rehabilitation and new construction loan program, and funding of $2 million from the ARPA revenue replacement funds for the loan program.
Ms. Gilman.
Yes. Good afternoon. So I presented this last month as a new program. However, with the assistance of the city attorney's office, they helped me to unwind and understand that it's currently a program with the city. You guys approved it, City Council approved it by resolution on May 12, 1997. This program also supports small business and nonprofits with an emphasis on single-family new construction, rehab, and for for-profits, small multifamily development of 50 units or less, with the goal of expanding access and stimulating the development of infill housing with deeper affordability. Staff proposes to amend the existing construction loan program through revised guidelines, including broadening the qualifying areas to sites located within the city limits, lowering the interest rates for the for-profit developers, and an allocation of $2 million of ARPA revenue replacement funds designated for the program. May I answer your questions?
Councilmember Clark.
I said at the last meeting that I like the program. We just need to put some meat on the bones, and I think y'all done a good job with that. I just have a few suggestions or questions. I think there needs to be somewhere in here stating that we will sign prior to the beginning of construction a contract between us and the other party, and in that we would specify the amount of the loan and this, that, and the other. One thing that I thought needs to be included in that, typically when you build something like this, you would give a down payment and then do construction draws during the process. And I think it'd be important to cover all that up front in a contract, and then there's no questions when we get it done. So that's the only suggestion I have, that we add some language that a contract would be drawn up prior to beginning construction, detailing all the items that are listed here. But otherwise, I thought you did a good job. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I was definitely much a help from City Attorney Carmen helped me with that quite a bit. We do have provisions included where we're requesting or requiring rather that applicants provide 20% upfront. The balance of the loan from the city would be 80%.
Okay. But anyway, just, I think we need language that says we'll draw a contract up detailing all this.
And by law, they can't get the money without a contract.
That's right, yes. See, I just seen that you paying it.
Yeah.
But anyway, otherwise, they just want to say, good job, and look forward to beginning construction.
Thank you.
Councilmember Monday.
Thank you for this information. Do have a question on the for-profit businesses that get a forgivable loan. Are there some stipulations on which for-profit businesses would qualify?
Yes, small businesses, those that are able to qualify for certification with the Small Business Administration.
Thank you.
Councilmember Scipio.
Are these loans also under our affordable housing policy or not?
Yes, ma'am. They would be covered by that. They would be subject to the Housing Act, as well as if they were to receive a conveyance of land from the city, the Affordable Housing Ordinance as well.
I'll move approval of C5.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Councilmember Clark, Councilmember Monday, would you please be prepared to vote when the ballot comes up on your screen? All in favor, let it be known by saying yes. All opposed, like sign. And the motion passes. We have completed. Nope. We got city clerk call the next consent item, please.
Item C8, 1818 East 18th Street, located in the Northeast Ward, ordinance ordering the demolition and removal of a structure.
Councilmember Larson.
I have a basic question on this. This building was identified back in 2016. It's been on the list of projects for about 7 years now. And in looking at the photographs and the pictures of sort of the deterioration that's going on with it over that period of time. And my question sort of is, if we're looking at trying to redeem houses and keep houses in good condition, the chances of recovering on this house then was diminished over that period of time. Do we have a relationship at all with the tax office regarding delinquent taxes and the forced sale of property?
We do have a relationship with the tax office, and they notify us of that, but typically when we...
Ms. McClain.
I'm sorry. Good evening, Chair Adams, members of the committee, and city council members. Chantel McClam, Neighborhood Services Director. I'm also joined by my staff person, Tiffany Harris, as she is heavily involved in the demolition process, just in case there were, details you wanted regarding the demolition. But we do have a very good working relationship with the tax office. Typically, when we're doing demolitions, it's because we have a violation has been reported to us, and then we go out. I'm unsure why it took us 7 years to demolish this. I'll let Tiffany speak to it.
We did have issues with service, so, I'm sorry. We did have issues with service, so in order to obtain service, we had to do a publication. And the case, because the property had deteriorated, we had to start the case over for publication.
And just so I can inject Councilmember Larson, staff, and those that know, Councilmember Clark, there was a time when we had hundreds, almost thousands of houses on our demo list. And there was a time that we had to have special meetings of this committee to process those houses because we started to see staff, leave or whatever, and they became backed up. But when I got on the council in 2009 and I started seeing what Councilmember Larson's seeing, that some of these houses had been in the pipeline for 10 years maybe. And people wonder, just like I did, well, how is that possible? It is possible. The way government works, democracy works, property owner says, I didn't get my certified letter. But we know we mailed it. We know this. But they said they didn't. And every time that the owner of the property tells us that we didn't do something, the process can sometimes start the clock all over again, which means the years start to add up. And the city attorney can attest to that too. City Attorney, would you like to weigh in to help Councilmember Larson understand? One of you need to change your name. Anyway.
I think it's a legal action.
Would you help?
I'll make a motion.
Councilmember Larson to kind of give him of how this deal goes, because it's not an easy fix.
It's not. Essentially, you have to make sure you're in compliance with all of the notification requirements by state law and city code. And in the event that you find out that those requirements have not been made, then you do have to start over, and that can prolong the process.
I think my desire or my concern is if there's a possibility working with the tax office to free these properties up in time that they could be redeemed, it'd be a useful thing. And I'm sure the tax office is notifying the owner as well of delinquency. And I just don't know whether we're checking with them to see if we have dual notifications of violations plus tax problems. And if there are tax problems that would allow us to get this property sold and get it in the hands of somebody who would like to maybe rehab it. And of course, we're establishing a great number of fundings now to do rehabilitation. But 7 years is a long time to go, and I just hope that we can see if there's not something to be done with the tax office to coordinate with them properties to get hold them back on the market.
I understand what you're saying, Councilmember Larson. We'll talk through that process and see if there's something that we
See if there's some coordination with all
Yes.
of that. I don't know how closely we work with the tax office on various ways. We put liens on property. They for the taxes be collected. But it'd be useful for us to try to save some of these houses as we're desperate for housing right now.
A number of these houses have not only demolition liens, but sanitation liens and back taxes. So we have been trying to coordinate with the tax office in the collection of all 2, 3, whatever is outstanding. And we are certainly looking at ways to enhance that process.
I mean, the crazy thing about this particular property, I think they were saying it was like $5,000 worth of repairs on a $60,000 house or something. And I'm going like, what? I mean, who can't afford to do, some people can't afford it, but somebody could afford to put that kind of money into a house and make it usable. So,
And Councilmember Larson, that's after they pay the taxes. The back taxes, the other liens, sanitation, and who knows what else. When we see these carts that have these houses on it, and we see that staff or the appraisers say it's $5,000, $10,000 to fix it, sometimes we have citizens that they honestly think that's all it is to it when they go to purchase this house from us or the county, and they find out there might be like $30,000 worth of taxes, right, Ms. Tony, that they haven't paid in 20 years. And the county and city attorney, you can help with this, the county has the last word on who gets these houses and when they get their money.
Yes, the county has basically retained a law firm to do most of those tax foreclosures. And so that's essentially who does those foreclosure actions for the county. And then, of course, we're notified of it as well. But yeah, they handle the foreclosure for city taxes and county taxes for the city through a law firm that they've chosen.
But staff will continue to work on that.
If nobody bids on the project after the taxes are foreclosed on it and it goes to sale on the courthouse steps and nobody bids on it, what happens to the property then?
If there are no bidders, I don't know that we collect anything at that point.
The property just remain indefinite?
I think so, unless they're willing to try again.
Here comes
John Lawson's here.
Attorney Lawson said, that's my cue. Come on, Attorney Lawson.
Good afternoon again. Yeah, so if the county brings, and I was trying to look to see if this property was included, and I couldn't find one way or another definitively whether there's an actual open foreclosure action against it. I'll try to look when I have a little bit more time and not as much pressure. But when the county brings a property to sale, at the courthouse. If there's not a bidder at all, then nothing happens. The county will hold it. They generally would just kind of sit on it and wait and see if an interested bidder comes along and reaches out to the law firm or to the county tax office inquiring about the property. And if they do so, then they'll go through the foreclosure sale process again. But I mean, some of these properties can be had for very, very cheap, but somebody actually has to buy them. If there's not a bidder that places a bid at all, then the county they just hold it in the sort of pending status on the foreclosure.
And every once in a while, you all will get an email from me asking whether or not there's an interest in council for the city to place a bid on the property as well, whether or not it should be included in the affordable housing program. So,
Councilman Mundy, did you have a question?
Yes, just to clarify, I think it could be misinterpreted. Foreclosure does not mean demo.
no, it doesn't. That's two different processes.
And is it 65? There's a guideline specifically on when a house can be or should be demolished, and it's a percentage of the value. Is that right? Percentage of the total value?
You have multiple demolition categories. You have one where it exceeds 65, the cost of repair exceeds 65% of the value of the dwelling. And then you have another category where the house or property sat vacant for 6 months. And then you have two subcategories under that it could be considered demolition property.
Thank you.
Councilmember Clark.
Just for the record, I'm looking on page 1 of the case summary. We gave it a market value of $10,000 and $9,000 to fix it up, and we don't know what the inside looks like.
No.
There's not people standing in line wanting this house.
Could be.
If there are no more questions or comments, may I have a motion, please?
Move approval.
Second?
It's been moved and properly seconded. Councilmember Clark, Councilmember Scipio, would we please have the vote? And all those in favor, vote yes. All those opposed, vote no. And the motion passes. City Clerk, would you please read the next agenda item of the general agenda?
Item G1, update on the Computer Outreach and Education Core Project.
The IT people.
Good afternoon, Lakeisha Jordan, Executive Director of WinStonNet and proud board member of Digital Bridges Forsyth, formerly Forsyth County Digital Equity. And I'm here with Tom.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Temp Adams, members of council, Tom Karuska, City's Chief Information Officer. And we are going to give an update, a quick update on this project. So we came to City Council last fall with the digital, Forsyth County Digital Equity, now rebranded as Digital Bridges Forsyth Group. And we asked for $2 million from the ARPA funds for this core project. And you all approved it in the fall, and I'd like to give a quick update on that. So I guess I can control the clicker. Where am I pointing at?
Yep, you got it. You got it.
There it is. Okay. So quick overview of the project goals. What we promised you back last fall is we're going to provide digital literacy training to 1,250 residents, all within the qualified census tracts as defined by the ARPA process. They're going to distribute refurbished laptops to each of those citizens. And when they finish the 4-hour training, they'll also receive a thumb drive of all the material. We said we would develop a resource guide, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. We mentioned we were going to update the MLK Recreation Center, and we are working on it now. The goal is to build a computer art and music lab where we'll have art and music training and give students, for example, the ability to record videos and put it on YouTube. And then the specialty computer lab is designed to take the basic training and enrich it more. We'll be trained in courses such as cybersecurity, how to build a website, how to maintain a website, and then programming such as .NET development. The last thing on this list is we told you a year ago we would deploy 18 smart boards to all the other recreation centers. The goal here is to, we're providing a live class at MLK and a Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. All the other rec centers can have citizens in their recreation centers, neighborhoods, using those smart boards and the internet, participating virtually in the training program. Go to the next slide. So where are we at? Milestones. We worked on the contract up to Miss March, this past March, with Miss Tiffany Oliva and following the ARPA regulations and the federal guidelines. April to August, we started laying out, you can see our project plan. We're onboarding staff, developing a curriculum, working with our partners, training our trainers. We started training September 7th. We had 7 classes September and 15 in October, 12 plus scheduled for November, already I think 7 or 8 completed. And we are also in parallel working with Mr. William Royston and the recreation staff on the recreation center. We've hired a local interior design firm, Design Plus, with Cassandra Mitchell. And we are starting to build out or work on the labs that you see listed there. We're going to continue training in the next 10 to 12 months. Our goal is 12 classes a month. We'll start pushing out here shortly the smart boards and do those broadcast trainings, and obviously keep working on the recreation center and those 2 special labs. And then we hope to be back up here sometime next fall. Thank you, Lakeisha. Next fall to give you a report and close the project out, tell you the great success, and probably ask for more money with lessons learned. Lakeisha's going to take over.
So we had the opportunity to work with Cramden Institute to work on developing curriculums customized to our community. And so we have 2 curriculums. One was the computer basics curriculum that focused on computer basic, essential internet skills, and connecting to additional resources and applications. And then there was a high need for the job seekers curriculum. And this is the one that we brought to you all when we first began. And so this is computer basics. So for those who, we want to make sure that they know how to use the device, even though they're saying, I want a job and I want to be able to work from home or virtual learning. We want to make sure that they can use that device. And then there is office, programs, and resumes. So we want everyone who takes these courses to be able to develop a resume and to be proud of that resume and know that that is them professionally on paper. And then there is the professional online life. And that goes from etiquette to creating a LinkedIn account to learning how to network on LinkedIn with others so that you can find employment. The curriculum objectives, it ranges from being confident in using a computer all the way to, and I talked about that just a few minutes ago, being familiar with LinkedIn and maintaining a professional presence. And so, we know professionalism means it may be different across the board to different individuals, but we do want to set the bar and help individuals be work ready. This is important to us.
So one of the goals was to create this technology resource guide, and I'll flip to go ahead. You got to realize a lot of these folks that come to this training, they don't have a computer, they don't have internet access, they don't have skills, they don't have an email address. And the goal is when they leave our training, they'll have all that. The resource guide, I'm just going to hold it up here. It's online at digitalbridgesforsight.org. I encourage any citizen can look at it. It's out there for free, a lot of information, and it points citizens to where they can get devices, what programs and agencies are available to help with programs. Mentions the Affordable Connectivity Program. That's a federal program where they get a $30 a month discount. Internet helps citizens understand where there's free Wi-Fi, and there's a lot of locations here in the state for free Wi-Fi. It points them to programs available to get assistance with internet at the house. And obviously there's a lot of training we talked about in person, online, and the workforce. So it's a great resource guide with a lot of information. I would encourage everybody to take a look at it at your leisure. So we had to build our team. Again, we came together in April and started building. We've hired an HR consultant that helped us write our job descriptions. We used a recruiting platform. Conducted 30 interviews, actually more than that now, with over 140 applications. And where do we land today? We now have 19 individuals working on the project, not all full-time. Most of them are part-time. Ms. Whitney Middlebrooks is our project director. Lee Nichols, a retiree from the city who's leading the project in a technical sense. We've hired an IT coordinator, 2 lead tech instructors, and the 12 training folks. I actually submitted a slideshow about 2 weeks ago to get it in your agenda, but since then we filled the program administrator and the assistant position as well. So we have 19 positions filled. Just to share a quick demographics of those 19, 6 are male, 13 are female, 3 are white, 13 African American, 3 Hispanic, and of the 19, all except Mr. Nichols has just moved towards the coast. The other 18 all live here in the city of Winston, Forsyth County zip code. Where are we at? That's you.
One of the most important parts of this project was our community partners. Without our community partners, we don't have the community to work with. Obviously, we can't do it all, so we have partnered with Boston Thurman United, the Islamic Religious Center, Partnership for Prosperity, and Neighbors for Better Neighborhoods. All of these organizations I'm sure that you are familiar with, and they are doing a great job in supporting recruiting individuals in our communities, identifying locations, and making sure that the training happens. So this is a great community collaboration. When we looked at program eligibility, of course, they needed to live in a qualified census tract, but we also wanted to make sure that we did not leave out young people. So young people, their working age starts at 14. And so those individuals also need to be prepared when we think about professionalism, online, and we think about computer basics. We know that all of the students in Winston and Forsyth County schools have a device because it was provided through the school district, but we need to make sure that they have one in the home that does not have restrictions that will stop them from working and to develop. And we hope that they, make sure they do what they're supposed to do, but we know that the school district and the parents are working with them on that. There is no limit to devices in households. What we identified is that when you have 2 parents or 1 parent in a household, maybe a grandparent, and then you have 3 children in the household, one device cannot support everyone. There may be someone needs to do homework, someone needs to apply for a job, someone wants to just search the internet, someone wants to socialize. So we need to make sure that devices in the home support the number of people that are in that home as well. So we also focus on residents from disadvantaged and minority neighborhoods, and mainly those are in qualified census tracts. So how do we get these folks in the program? We have a screening tool that was developed by Camden Institution, who has been a wonderful partner in this. And so what happens is you can either go on and scan the QR code, or one of our partners, one of our 19 staff, will support that in getting you registered, either a partner or a staff person. And once you're registered for the screening tool, that's when we look at where you lived. Are you in the qualified census tract? Which qualified census tract are you in? How many devices do you need in the home? So it helps us to identify what the need is. Do you need the job seekers training, or do you need the basic training? So these numbers, I'm proud to say, are wrong because we submitted this a few weeks ago. So to date, I probably need a drum roll. There you go, there you go, there you go. To date, we have over 1,000 individuals that have completed the interest form who would like to receive a free device in digital literacy training. And so we are so proud of that number. Now I want to give you the breakdown to that. So, unfortunately, we have many who are outside the qualified census tract. So because this project is focused on QCTs, we have to just make sure that we're focusing on those individuals. But we don't leave the others behind. We're making note of it. When we come back and ask for some more money, we're going to hopefully include them in this work because it is that important. Also, we have 749 who are within the qualified census tract. So those individuals will be served if they haven't been served already. And then there were some who may have filled the form out incorrectly, so the addresses are invalid, and it's about 26 of those. But we're very proud to see that 1,000 number as of today.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So this is where I tell you this slide's wrong. This is based off information I got in early October to start preparing the presentation. As Lakeisha just shared, we're now pushing 1,000 individuals have been trained. Our show interest, I'm sorry, we have 300 that have been trained. Real quick, class locations. So we've held classes so far in the sites you see, the Housing Authority, Habitat, Humanity, and Parkland. We've got classes scheduled for November and December, and the sites listed: Forsyth Community College, Piedmont Park, and the Maisie Woodruff Center, Neighborhood for Better Neighborhoods, Neighbors for Better Neighborhoods. We also have one scheduled here in a few weeks at the Carver School Branch Library. So bottom line is we can take the class anywhere we can get the the resources, room for 15 trainers and a display, and we can move as needed. This is you again. We're a collaboration.
Where's he?
Love it.
So, let's see. November 2nd was the week of National Digital Inclusion. And so for the last 3 years, Winston-Salem has done nothing. Even with WinSTNet here, you know, it's been very challenging to put on events and get ready for this. We are so pleased to say that we finally participated and were able to share that information nationally. And that's when we had our kickoff announcing Digital Bridges for SIFE, our name change, as well as introducing our partners to the community. It was just really awesome to be there and see the interest in the program and see the support of our community. 45 residents registered on that day. There was media coverage. If you'd like to watch it, the attachment is there. Our budget. So you say, Lakeisha, Tom, we hear all this great work that you're doing. How are you doing with money? Well, I think we're doing pretty good. We've been working very closely with Tiffany Oliva and her team. And so we have been granted 2 drawdowns of about $300,000. So we're working on that second $300,000. We will be providing 25% of the budgets for each partner agency to them up front, and then we'll go through the same process that we go through with the city for them to report to us. And so we believe that this system will work very well. So we feel that we are right on track with our spending, and when we're looking at these numbers and we're talking about over 1,000 people interested at this point, next steps, Tom, you think we'll be coming back? We'll be coming back to ask for more money.
I love your honesty.
Just 2 quick comments. That's our slides. We should mention that through Camden and working with the nonprofits, we have our training material already in place, and we are getting these laptops at $200 a device. So it's an unbelievable price. So hopefully when we start looking, when we're already looking at some state grants, a plug for Lakeisha. I don't think a week doesn't go by she doesn't get asked to participate in some committee meeting at the governor's level in the state of North Carolina. So Forsyth County is being recognized, and a lot of the credit goes to Lakeisha and some of the folks in our audience. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say the council is, you know, we appreciate everybody and everything. But when the country realized in the throes of COVID, even before COVID, there was a serious digital divide in this country. And it didn't bother anybody. It didn't, you know, it wasn't no big deal that there were families and homes in your neighborhood or city that had no access to the internet. That if they wanted it, they had to go to McDonald's or Panera's or somewhere. But when COVID hit, and everybody had to shut down in place, and in order for people to work and children to learn and people to stay connected to the world, there had to be internet, connectivity, access to the infrastructure, not just the wiring and the cable, but the laptops, the phones, all of it. And I am just so proud of this program. I'm so proud that the city of Winston-Salem, we voted to invest in this. I know y'all came to see me a lot, but anything that we can drive education, learning better in this community, and we have the resources to do it. And even if we don't, maybe we find out some grants or something. But this one, our relationship with WinSTNet was probably the connecting of our IT department has been one of the best collaborations I've seen in my 15 years, and I thank you. Any other more comments? Councilmember Scipio.
Madam Chair, I believe some of the partners are here, and I would love to see them stand so we can acknowledge you. Any of those who are
Please,
with Bridges.
and come up to the mic and give us your name. We know you. Come on. You family.
Sandy.
Come on.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am Sandra Stinson, and yes, you do know me.
Address.
1306 Tyndall Street, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm in the Boston Thurman neighborhood in the North Ward. And I stand with my shirt with this smile on so you all can see just how happy I am to have this program in Forsyth County. When I heard about it, I got excited. I was in that very first class. That September 7th class, I got my computer, and I got so excited that I went to Camden and I took the classes, so now I am an instructor, all right, and doing classes at Habitat for Humanity every weekend. Not only that, but I took this flyer and I printed 500 copies of it, and I took it throughout Boston Thurman and everywhere else I went for 2.5 weeks to make sure everybody had information on how to get this computer. I'm still passing it out. Thank you so very much for this partnership and the opportunity it's giving people to have just not connectivity, but computers in their home. It has made a world of difference. I wish I had time to share with you some of the comments from the seniors and the students that are 14 to 18 that did not have computers in their home, and they have them today because of this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was an update. And City Clerk, next item, please.
Item G2, update on the Crosby Scholars Dashboard and Portal Project funded by City ARPA-enabled funds.
Ms. Oliva.
Good afternoon again, Mayor Pro Tem Adams, members of the committee and council. I'm excited to continue on that energy and momentum. I think it's going to be clear as we present on our ARPA projects over the next couple of years, the level of multidimensional community change that the city council and the city is invested in. And I think something you'll also notice through each of these projects is how the level of collaboration across grantees, Habitat for Humanity, Boston Thurman Community Network, Winston-Net. And so it's really neat to see how we're really taking a comprehensive approach to transformational change in our community. So that being said, next on our list to present is Crosby Scholars. They were one of the 10 transformational grantees awarded a little over $116,000 to create a dashboard and portal that would really take their program and services in our community to the next level. And so they're also our first transformational grantee to fully exhaust their award. So they're here with us today to share an update on what the award has empowered them to accomplish for our city's residents. And so I'd like to introduce Mona Lovett, who's President and CEO, and Alex Lawrence, Project Manager, who'll present this item.
Thank you. If you would give your name and address, even though she stated it, for the record.
Okay, good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the committee. I'm Mona W. Lovett, 5100 Spiralwood Drive, Clemens, North Carolina.
Good afternoon, I'm Alex Lawrence, 3805 Ranchwood Drive, Clemens, North Carolina.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you. We are very appreciative of this grant to support our students. As you see, our missions there is to assist public middle school and high school students in preparing for successful college enrollment or other post-secondary educational opportunities. So this grant is serving our students as we celebrate 30 years of helping students prepare for college and career. We've been around for quite some time and are serving over 14,000 students this year. And so a little bit of a snapshot of those students who are going to be using this service or have been a part of this. Graduating, as I said, served over 14,000 students. This past year graduated over 1,054 students. We're awarding scholarships. They're going to over 140 different colleges and universities, awarded just under $1 million in last dollar grants and scholarships, 100% high school graduation rate, 98% self-reporting, enrolling in a 2-year or 4-year program, and that includes certificate programs. Our students give back to our community, so over 44,000 hours in community service, and 60 team members, including part-time and full-time team members. And focusing on our qualified census tracts, we have our outreach programs for AMPed, African American males pursuing educational dreams, our Excelencia program for Hispanic girls, our Hispanic Latino male success program for Hispanic males, our Show Help Employ program for STEM opportunities for Hispanic and African American girls, and our newest program, the LIGHT program, which focuses on students who are in care, youth in care, which have single-digit numbers and percentages for going on to post-secondary educational opportunities. And so this program was, these funds were used to help us upgrade and actually rebuild a customized student portal system. So we just heard all the energy and enthusiasm about having access to the computers and participating and using that. So everything our students have to do now, everything is through the computer. There's no paper application to college. There's no paper application to complete the free application for federal student aid. There are very, very few paper applications for scholarships. Our SAT and ACT testing will be digital very soon, so no paper testing there. Paper is gone by the wayside. And so Crosby sees itself as a very important training ground for helping students to understand these portal access systems. We first built our portal system back in 2010, and Mayor Pro Tem talked about, going digital. We had started doing webinars before COVID, understanding that that was the way we're going with everything, and that students have to be comfortable with this technology, and understanding that in many cases, students were living with parents who were not comfortable with the technology and with grandparents who had no idea of what needed to happen. So this core program, I think, is exciting there too, because it will help our students have support. Because as we hear students over and over and over again, they talk about the amount of stress they feel, the lack of support they feel, because all of this now is really put squarely on them. Whereas when many of us were doing this process, our parents and older siblings and different folks could help us because they knew the technology. There really wasn't that much. But now, a lot of times parents feel in the dark and students have to do this on their own. So we see ourselves as a pivotal training ground to help students understand this from 6th grade, how to go into a portal, how to access information, how to use resources. And for Crosby in particular, this grant allowed us to build out pieces of our portal. I wish it only cost $116,000. That would have been wonderful. But it's about $1 million project for students to follow them from grades 6 through 12, in addition to applying for scholarships and financial aid, having one-on-one advising with our seniors, and with this expansion, our juniors, doing Crosby Plus, Crosby Club, keeping data on students from grade 6 through college graduation. All of that is a function of this system. And so Alex, who's our project manager, a Crosby alum, graduate of West Forsyth High School, is leading this effort and is going to demonstrate a little bit of this. We hope to launch the full site in Q2, Q3, but we have actually launched the scholarship portion of this. So our students who are applying for scholarships and last dollar grants this year will be using this site. It launched on November 1st, and we've already had one of our students, at least one, apply for the Whatever It Takes scholarship. And that Whatever It Takes scholarship is really an emergency fund that was set up by a donor. So if a student needs money for groceries, to pay their car registration, for gas money to come home, any of those kinds of things, they can apply for a small emergency grant. So we've already received our first emergency grant through this particular process. So I'm going to turn it over to Alex to demonstrate.
Hello again. If you don't mind going to the scholarships handbook link, please, I'd like to show the scholarship experience that we are currently going through. We were extremely intentional with our grant management platform that we decided to purchase and utilize through our program. If you could scroll down for me just a little. This is our scholarship handbook. We have purchased a company called Submittable that will help us with our last dollar grant management, as well as all of our scholarships. We have about 40 that we are hosting there. If you could scroll down just a little bit for me, please. Thank you. This is a list of all of our scholarships, the eligibility criteria, and what is really cool about Submittable is for the sake and value of time, we have what's called an eligibility quiz. So when our students are looking at the scholarship handbook to see what they are eligible for, to apply for, they can take a quiz That is a 2 or 3 simple question quiz, and it will let them know if they're eligible or not, so they do not have to complete the application. They can move along with themselves. So if you go down all the way to the bottom, we do have a very lengthy list here that's divided by type of scholarship. You'll see submittable screenshots here. That is super simple. It's just a simple form. They create an account, and as well, they will be able to sanction their letter of recommendations here as well, and this will just alleviate the scholarship committee review process also, as it will be a great experience for all users from all sides. If you don't mind going back to the presentation slide, please, I'd like to move on to the prototype of our new portal that we've been working on link 2, please. Thank you. The portal page that you saw is our current portal that we are using. So we have used it for several years, and now we're looking...
Since 2010.
Yes. Now we're looking for a fresh outlook. We're looking to innovate the student experience. If you will please click a journey page on the bottom right. This is something brand new to our program that we're really excited to utilize. As you can see, for the Crosby Scholars logo, it looks like a road. So this is a play on our logo, as Crosby Scholars is an experience. Not one single student has the same experience as the student sitting beside them. So it is our intention to personalize and individualize their experience and really make them see that where they are and where they like to go is possible, and we can support them along that way. So when you scroll down here, this is a prototype of an 11th grade student. It is geotagged for them. They should be really familiar with this already, as they use Apple Maps, Google Maps. They see their profile picture on the road. They can envision themselves through this experience. They can see their progress. They can expand on their program details and see what they have to do now, what they have to do next year. If you'll please click Program Details under 11th grade. Thank you. This really is cut and dry for them. This Crosby Scholars could seem really overwhelming to students. The whole college application experience is strenuous and overwhelming, but we're here to help them. We want them to see that they can accomplish this, and we can help them along the way. And this page really explains the bite-sized pieces of what they need to do now, here, next year, to get to where they're going. And that is all that we have to show, but this is our bread and butter. We're super proud of it already. We're really excited to see the students use it and really go off from here, so thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the committee or council members? Councilmember Scipio.
Great program.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think Crosby Scholars has always, it started out excellent, and I'm so happy that it has continued to be excellent. Ms. Lovett, thank you for all of your service over those years. This is a wonderful tool, and the good news is that it's open to any student in our schools, from middle school through high school. And I know you recruit well, but so many kids still aren't taking advantage of this program. But I do want to let you know, I had two nieces who went through some years ago. Both of them finished North Carolina A&T, and one has gone on to graduate level at Howard University. She's in OT, and the other one is management at the U.S. Postal Service. And your scholarship helped them to achieve where they are today. They are now in their 30s. It's hard to believe, but it was just a success, and I thank you for that. One of the great programs that still is vital to this community, and I do want to encourage all of our residents to have their youth explore your service.
Yes, thank you. So I will add officially that we are recruiting students now in grades 6 through 10. We are hoping to get back to pre-COVID numbers at above 10,000 students. It is free free and open to any student in public school in Forsyth County. So we certainly encourage everyone to have their students join. And we are doing special efforts and recruitment outreach in all of our Title I high-need schools, because we know that with not just with our last dollar grants and scholarship support, but we also have college and career guidance. And so if a student in any of our programs decides that they are not ready to go into four-year college, we have a great partnership with our community colleges as well as certificate programs to help them be able to go in the next step of their journey. As Alex said, it doesn't look the same for each student, and we certainly understand that, but we want to help support them. So we thank you for your support.
Thank you so much. I can't tell you again, as was stated, again, these are some new programs that the ARPA dollars afforded us the opportunity to go after or to put in place, and to collaborate with people and partners we'd never collaborated before. And but you all know I'm a cheerleader for Cosby Scholars. But as Councilmember Clark said, very successful. Councilmember Scipio, very successful. And to think your numbers, I don't think anybody can beat your numbers on engagement and participation and the end product of what these students and parents and teachers and educators and community get once going through this program. We applaud you, and we look forward to continued collaboration with the Crosby Scholars. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
City Clerk, next item, please.
Item G3, information regarding affordable housing items. Glabex Consortium LLC for development of 4 lots for affordable housing, and Glabex Consortium LLC for the development of 3 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-family houses, and Liberty East Redevelopment, Inc. for development of 5 lots for affordable homeownership.
Ms. Gilman.
Good afternoon again, Mayor Pro Tem
Again,
Adams.
you said that like you tired of getting up in front of me.
Am I? No. I'm happy to be here talking about affordable housing.
We finally got there.
Yes. This is, as stated, information on proposals for the development of lots for affordable home ownership in the Northeast Ward. Last month, City Council accepted an offer from Glabex Consortium to purchase 4 city-owned lots. Glabex requests an allocation of $120,000 from state ARPA funds to provide deeper affordability for buyers. Additionally, Glabex has offered $1 each to purchase 3 additional lots for development, and they're seeking a $90,000 allocation for those as well of state ARPA. It would be $30K per unit for construction. The estimated sales prices for the homes before assistance is $235,000. So $205,000 would be the offered sales price after assistance, city assistance, and the total funds requested by Glabex is $210,000 for 7 lots. Liberty East Redevelopment seeks an allocation of $150,000 of state ARPA funds to support construction of 5 single-family houses it proposes to build in the Northeast Ward. Council approved the sale of 4 lots last month. They're dividing 1 lot to create 5. The sales price for the different designs ranges from $238,000 to $268,000, with a $30,000 subsidy estimated to change the range from $208,000 to $238,000. Let's see, and then, the funds will be awarded again with the under a forgivable loan to the developer. Upon sale of the lots, if supported by an appraisal, the home buyers will sign a secured 15-year home buyers assistance loan for $30,000 with the city. May I answer any questions?
Councilmember, thank you. Councilmember Clark, then Councilmember Scipio.
When would we physically give the money to the developer? At what point of the project?
Well, I would like to see, in order to help with further subsidize the cost during construction, I would like to draw it down during construction, hopefully to help assist with some of the interest carrying costs they may have. It may be minimal, but I think it would probably be helpful.
I'd like to see it maybe over the project life. That's fine.
Okay.
Councilmember Scipio.
I have a couple questions. These are 3 different projects with 3 different fundings, amounts, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, but the first 2 are the same developer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Under the Liberty East development, can you explain, home buyers will sign a secured 15-year loan equal to the appraised value less the sales price with the city at closing?
That's right. So that's for all of them, not just for LER, Liberty East redevelopment. I propose that for all of these programs that I'm putting forward, that the city provides us a loan, and essentially that's to, we're offering a benefit to home buyers, but the purpose of the benefit is affordable for home ownership. I think if we don't offer that, then it's essentially just giving money away, right? It would be instant equity that home buyers would be able to have in the home. And the purpose of this is to place folks in homes who will live there on a long-term basis. And I think we want to have it to generate their equity like any other home owner would.
So this is not down payment assistance, I'm just trying to clarify. This is the entire mortgage for the house?
No.
For 15 years?
Just the difference between the appraised value, equity, the difference between the appraised value. So if we sold the home originally were $235 and we offer $30,000, then the amount of the down payment assistance from the city would be $30,000. It reduced it to $205.
Okay, that's different. But the mortgage, the home buyer is just going to be a forgivable loan for $30,000 or somewhere in that
The
ballpark.
forgivable loan from the city for $30,000. That's right, for the down payment assistance. That's right.
I was thinking that it was worded as to seem like it was a whole mortgage for the house at 15. That's what my confusion was.
Nope, equity.
Thank you.
Councilmember Clark.
I would say, I don't know if they still do it, but Habitat used to do something like this. As far as the sweat equity that went into a house, they would forgive it over a time period. As you kind of earned it, so to speak, as you lived there.
Yes.
Good plan.
Any other questions or comments? This is for information, and then it'll come back to council in December. Thank you so much. Next item, please.
Item G4, resolution authorizing the adoption of the 2023 downtown plan, public hearing to be held December 4th, 2023.
Thank you. Ms. Crum.
Hey. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Adams, members of council. Amy Crum, Assistant Planning Director. Just give her a minute. Okay, I have a brief presentation on the downtown plan. That's sensitive. So the current downtown plan was adopted by City Council in April of 2013, and like the current plan, this new proposed draft plan will cover a 10-year period. The Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership led the planning process with support from planning and development staff. The process specifically was led by the planning committee within the Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership, and there were 3 subcommittees, which I'll go over in a minute. The outreach for the plan consisted of interviews with community leaders, surveys, in-person and virtual workshops, community group presentations, as well as the subcommittee meetings themselves served as an avenue to gather more input from the public by having specific presentations or members attend those meetings. The vision that was drafted as part of the community input basically states that they're focused on creating and maintaining a vibrant and inclusive and engaging downtown that embraces creativity, equity, and the pursuit of excellence. The downtown was broken into multiple districts, and you can see the outline area in red here. That is the main core of downtown, and it's pretty much stayed the same. You have 52 to the east, Salem Parkway to the south, Broad Street to the west, and about 11th Street to the north there. Most of these districts should be familiar from the carryovers from the last plan. There have been some changes, namely the Skyline District is now called the Government Center. 4th Street is actually recognized as 4th Street because that's what most folks know it as. Industry Hills, I recognize now, that wasn't in place during the initial adoption. And then some of the broader outlying districts there that are sort of shaded in that gray taupe color, we have Stadium View, that's a new name, as well as recognizing East End as that has been named now. So the plan is laid out with descriptions of each of the districts as well as goals, and these all relate back to those 3 subcommittees. You had growth, connectivity, and appearance. And all the goals and recommendations are set forth to create a walkable, safe, connected, and welcoming community downtown. So I'll go briefly over the different goals for each of the different sections. So growth, focused on small business, promoting small business, focusing on housing affordability, utilizing vacant office and office space and vacant ground floor spaces, growing our food scene, as well as supporting new and existing festivals and events. Connectivity, basically sounds exactly like it is. It's improving our parking, enhancing our public safety through things like pedestrian lighting, promoting micromobility, which is the scooters and the e-bikes, improving the pedestrian connectivity throughout downtown, enhancing our parks downtown, and also creating new entertainment recreation draws. The plan specifically calls out a downtown skate park as well as an amphitheater as ideas. And then leveraging on the appearance side is looking out and embracing our architecture that we have downtown, refining design standards specifically regarding sidewalk dining, adding more public art, and just general improvement of the experience downtown. The land use recommendation within the new plan is the exact same as it was in the current plan. It's shown as mainly for mixed use because that provides the most sort of options there for development. We do recognize the Holly Avenue neighborhood there in the gold section. That's for its general residential. So the recommendation, the Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership Board unanimously approved the plan at their September 21st meeting. The City County Planning Board held a public hearing on October 12th, and there was no one there to speak in opposition, and unanimously recommended approval of the plan. And the next steps would be to schedule a date, which sounds like we have, for the public hearing at City Council. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Crum. Any questions or comments? Thank you. City Clerk, next item, please.
Mayor. It has to be voted on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm ready to move. I crossed out the resolution part, Amy.
I need to ask.
Oh, Councilmember Scipio has a question for the city attorney. My apologies.
City Attorney, I'm on the board of the Downtown Partnership. Is it appropriate for me to vote on this today and on next week?
Given that this item does not involve a contract nor money, I think it's appropriate for you to vote on this item. I just looked at that for Councilmember Monday.
Thank you. I move for approval.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Councilmember Scipio, Councilmember Monday, would you please be prepared to vote? All those in favor, vote yes. All those opposed, no. And the motion passes unanimously. Now, City Clerk, next item.
Item G5, information on proposed Heritage Neighborhoods Program.
Ms. Bradley.
Good evening, Madam Chair, committee members, and members of the council. I'm Heather Bratland, one of your Historic Resources officers. And I am here after many years of delay because of COVID to talk with you about a new way potentially that we could recognize historic neighborhoods in Winston-Salem. So we first talked with you about this in 2019. As a reminder, we currently have a local historic marker program with 63 markers in the city of Winston-Salem. We've done panels in 5 of our parks that explore the history of the neighborhoods around them and the parks themselves. We have 3 locally designated districts where we do design review and we regulate changes. And then we have 120 landmarks in Winston-Salem where we also engage in design review and the property owners get a tax benefit. But that wasn't enough. So Heritage Neighborhoods is a proposal for a new program that would be community driven. The vision is that the applications would come from a neighborhood organization or a group of residents. We would want demonstrated support from neighborhood residents, probably in an opt-out manner. And the boundaries of the neighborhood name, and the date of establishment would be based on information in the application, meaning they would come from residents in the neighborhood rather than staff saying, this is what your neighborhood should be called. This program would be educational, so information about the neighborhood would be put on the city website, and the neighborhoods would be mapped in a dedicated layer in our GIS system that was publicly available, where people could also access the information about the neighborhood and its history. It would be honorific. Designation would be made in the form of a resolution from City Council. It is not envisioned to be regulatory, so there would be no impact on zoning. There would be no impact on property rights, and unlike our current local historic districts, there would be no design review. And it is not revenue negative, so unlike the landmark program, there would be no impact on property taxes. Its tangible benefits, the proposal is that each neighborhood that was designated would get a street sign topper like this one. We did them in this sort of city blue color. It includes the historic name of the neighborhood and the date the neighborhood was established. So we've worked with Jeff Fansler and at the sign shop, and they've agreed that they can do this for us on all the standard ground-mounted street signs on city-maintained streets. And as I mentioned again, the information would be on our website. The intangible benefits are, of course, it's placemaking. As people travel around the city and go through neighborhoods, they might be somewhere and go, I didn't know that this was a historic area. Let me learn something about that. Let me find that out. And it would help instill neighborhood pride. You generally have to be 50 years old to be considered historic in our world, so that is the age that we're looking for our heritage neighborhoods. And again, the neighborhood would need to have contributed to the history of the city in some way, and that contribution would need to be historic. This is a very brief sort of idea of the process, but much like our marker program, applications would come into the staff of the commission. They would be heard by the Historic Resources Commission. We also envision that we would send a copy of the applications to the AAHI for their input and recommendations, and then a recommendation from the commission, the Historic Resources Commission and AAHI would come back to this committee, who would then forward applications to the full council with a recommendation on designation. It's not free, but it's not too expensive. So a custom sign blade like the one I showed you costs about $50. That's about the cost as well for the team to install them. So it's about $100 per intersection. The number of intersections in our historic neighborhoods varies significantly, from as few as 20 to as many as 80 in a neighborhood like Ardmore. But on average, with 35 intersections, the cost per neighborhood to do the sign toppers would be about $3,500. That is all I have for you. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Councilmember Clark.
How many heritage neighborhoods do you think we have?
So we have currently about 30 historic districts in the city of Winston-Salem that have either been already listed in the National Register or essentially determined eligible for listing in the National Register. And if you look at Winston-Salem's Architectural Heritage, the book that Heather Fambach did, there are probably 100 to 125 subdivisions in that book. Some of these areas, though, are just a few blocks, and some of them are huge. So one of the things that we envision doing when this comes to the commission for review is creating a priority list. So neighborhoods like Ardmore that already have signs throughout the neighborhood that say historic Ardmore would be lower down on the priority list than neighborhoods that don't have any recognition yet. Neighborhoods that are already listed in the National Register and already have that benefit would probably be lower down than a neighborhood that didn't have any kind of designation. Older neighborhoods would receive priority. We've developed a very detailed scoring matrix for our marker program, and we envision creating something similar for this. Because, of course, money is not unlimited, we know.
Councilmember, you done? Councilmember Monday.
Great plan, great program. I'm just going to challenge you to come up with an app or some way that those people who are amateur historians can actually look up and know what the abutting neighborhoods are and see the map and so forth. I think Wilmington has one of those, and it does make a nice historic stroll.
We've been doing a lot of great work with our GIS team, and I'm sure that they would love to work with us on something like that.
Great.
Councilmember Scipio.
The application going to the AAHI, is that just for African-American neighborhood applications?
No, it would be for everything.
It's across the board?
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you so much. Next item, please.
Item G6, presentation examining the state of fleet services in fiscal year 2024.
We got 2 more reports.
And Mr. Pate, if Mr. Geis gets long-winded, and not saying that you will, we have another one that I need for the council at least to hear, Mr. Rao, and that's the fairground, the Carolina Fair. So, Mr. Geis, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Adams, members of the committee and council. Nicholas Geis, thank you for having me here to give this brief update on fleet services and the industry we're facing right now. I will be brief as I can. So I'll start this at giving you a snapshot of this current fleet that we have. This is in-service vehicles as of the end of last month. The green classes up there are vehicles we have identified for our procurement of hybrid and electric vehicles. The count is roughly 1,824 total rolling stock assets that we maintain at Fleet Services. The average age is, of course, the average of those assets in service. The replacement age indicated is that of our replacement schedules that we utilize in the city. There are asterisks on the lower 3, heavy equipment, trailer equipment, and construction equipment. Because of the use, it varies and differs in the environment of those equipment. The replacement varies. So what I did for this analysis was to average it, and I wanted to acknowledge that it is different for different pieces of equipment. So overall, the takeaway there is that we have a rapidly aging fleet. 879 of our rolling assets that are currently in service of the 1824 are currently past their useful age by policy. I want to note there that just because it is past its useful age does not mean that the asset is no longer useful or that it needs to be replaced immediately. We just use age as one of the factors when we look at when replacing assets. So from our current fleet, we've acknowledged that we have an aging issue, and our partners in the budget office and you all have graciously funded vehicle replacement aggressively the last few fiscal years. So I wanted to show you where we came from approximately a year and a half ago when the market disruption happened with COVID and other factors in the supply chain. This is where we were at the worst case, 309 assets, $21 million in approved funding to get those assets. Fortunately for us in Fleet, we saw this nightmare coming as it unfolded. We worked with HR, the city manager's office, and the budget office to develop a position surely focused only on procurement efforts. So we have hired a specification analyst and procurement analyst to work us out of this hole. So over the past year and a half, we've been digging out from this unfortunate situation, trying to get caught up. I am here to tell you tonight we've made great effort, but we still have a lot of work to do. So this was doomsday that we walked into, trying to dig out over 3 fiscal years of assets. And this is where we are at the end of last month. So we went from $21 million in assets to roughly $8.5 million in assets. Now I note that these assets listed here are ones that have not gone into the official procurement process or pipeline. And what I mean by that is they haven't made it to a formal bid yet. There is a process we get to before that. I will cover that in the next slide. But we've dug out to 125 assets. And it's impacting, unfortunately, our partners across the city. All of the ones that are listed there in the bottom left of the slide are people who are waiting on asset rolling stock to get delivered out of this 125. So I mentioned, how do we dig out? How do we go forward? What are our processes? And I think it's important, since I mentioned procurement in the last slide, I give you a little overview of the procurement process just to educate. We have found when communicating with our customers, the procurement process is very much understood, which leads to the frustration that we've experienced with our customers. So the bid process is number one, but as I mentioned, there are steps we take before the bid process. That's meetings with our customers to learn what they need. Based on those meetings, we take our professional specifications, we write what the vehicle needs to do, how much horsepower, those things. We put them into specifications, and those specifications get turned over to purchasing to bid out to our vendors. So just because we have $8.5 million of unspecified things in the procurement pipeline does not mean we are not trying and that those things are not in the process of specification. They are. We're working on it. We will get caught up. But when we talk about the most confusing part of the procurement process to our customers, to our departments, is that 95% of the time when I stand before you asking to place an order, we're talking about production slots. We're talking about assets that do not exist. Our customers think they're sitting on a lot somewhere. We approve them in the meeting. We go pick them up tomorrow. Everything should be kumbaya. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. On the light equipment, production slots, for an example, would be Ford deciding they're going to make 30,000 of this midsize SUV as the orders get placed. And when the orders get placed, we bring it before you, you approve us the process, we create a PO, the PO gets sent to the vendor. When the vendor has the PO, then they enter it into the process for procurement. That is how it goes. They say 30,000 units will be made between these dates and these dates. We scramble to get the PO, and we're scheduled wherever it is before the window's closed. So we're working quickly to get those spots, but the assets aren't sitting at the Ford lot here, unfortunately, where we can drive down the street and pick them up. On the heavy equipment side of things, there's two pieces to each piece of equipment. There's a chassis and there's a body. When we work with our vendors, they're having to scramble their production slots. The chassis is the engine and wheels, essentially, is the easy way to think about it. That's paired with the body. So for this instance here, it would be the chassis would be the cab there, and the body would be a Heil refuse collection. They're working with their vendors. They get a chassis. Then they have to contact their body vendors to figure out, when I get the chassis here, I send it to you, how long will it be before you procure the body, install the packages, get it back to me. I do my quality control, and then I bring it to you all. It's a very timely process, but it is production slots that we are scheduling when we come here. So when we explain that to our customers, sometimes it eases frustrations, but I wanted you all to be very aware that that is what we're bringing to you all when we ask you for approval. Some of the supply and demand challenges we've run into, one of the first one is sales and pricing. Unfortunately, government being cash is king and we're going to pay you eventually is a good place in the vehicle market. That's no longer the reality we're in. We have been told, we've attempted to solicit bids on various pieces of equipment. We've gotten no response. We know they're available, but we've been told by some of our candid vendors, why would we sell it to the government at a negotiated sale point for a discount when Joe Public walks in on the street? I can market adjustment $4,000 above sticker. I made $4,000 profit. That's the world that we live in. That is where we are. We're working with our vendors to knock down some of those barriers, but that's where we are, unfortunately. When I mentioned the next two, the mad race and the short limited production windows, Fleet Services administrative staff continues to be involved state and nationally. We're talking to our peers. We're figuring out, are we all in the same boat? What strategies have been effective? What are you seeing that works? What can we do to try and get better? We're all in the same boat. We're all digging out. We're all trying to do the best we can right now to get what we need. That's creating short and limited production windows. I mentioned that in prior, when we bring it here, it's not an asset that exists. For the example I use, say 30,000 units are being produced. Used to be 2 to 3 months. Those windows would stay open. We met that. We were good to go. They are closing in 2 to 3 weeks sometimes. So if we're not through the process, if we don't have ways to get through that process or get to the order quick enough, we get approval from you all, we put it in, sorry, the window's closed. We've run into that a few times, but we've come up with some ways to get around that, and I'll touch on those later in the presentation. The last thing I want to make sure that I touch on this one is the surcharges. We have ordered equipment in January of 2021. It's been delayed. They expect to get the metal for the chassis. It doesn't get there. Expect to get the metal, keep bumping it back, bumping it back, bumping it back. We get notification that that equipment is now ready for production in December of 2023. But there's been markup. We need $13,000 more per unit than what we originally wanted to do. Talk to your governing body, see if you want to pay it. If not, cancel the order and somebody else pick it up. We've done very well with negotiating minor surcharges with our vendors in the past. But $10,000, $13,000, $15,000 a unit, that's coming. That is the industry, and that is unfortunately what we're going to be faced. But we're navigating that now. We will have an item. We're working through the logistics now to figure out how to navigate that. So when we talk about procurement, the next thing after we get approval, I know everybody wants to know, when are we going to get these vehicles? What's the delivery time frame? This is what it's looked like over the past year and a half as we've dug out from $21 million down to $8.5 million. Now, there are two asterisks on there that are very important to talk about. Heavy equipment, because of the relationships we've had with our vendors, the conversations we've had with our vendors that do specialized equipment, like leaf trucks, garbage trucks, just to name a few, we have open conversations way ahead of time where they plan their chassis. Hey, I think Winston-Salem might have a need for this. We don't commit to anything, but just having those relationships has gone a long way, where we've partnered with them, where that 173 days is much lower than what it would be if we started from scratch. So that vendor relationships that Fleet Service has made has been essential on that one. The pursuit vehicles, 129 days, that's very deceiving. That's 129 days from the last order that we received. We placed an order in October of 2022 for police interceptors. They go into production in December of 23. So we have not gotten those for over 365 days. But that number there was the last time. We are seeing estimates now on our quotes going from 200 to 500 days if the vendor lists them. Some of them have just stopped because they know you're ordering from us, we're in the same market, we don't want to get your hopes up, or we can't estimate, there's too much volatility. So it bridges the question I know you all love to ask, where are the hybrids, where are the EVs, what are we doing? We've been looking at those two areas, as I mentioned, the administrative stands and the light vehicles. It covers the sport utility vehicles, the administrative vehicles, compact pickup trucks, and half-ton pickup trucks. That's where we've been focusing our efforts. Of the remaining 125 assets, 73 of them are in that class. So the majority, a major part of that is still in this area. Unfortunately, what we have seen is no results. I've brought multiple orders to you all to place it for hybrid vehicles. We have gotten all but one canceled. Many times, 6 months, 8 months down the road, we're waiting for it, we're excited, we're doing the right thing, and then we get a hybrids are canceled. We have one order right now that has not been canceled. That's the 5 police interceptors. Those have been bumped from the 2023 production to the 24 production, so we do not have a production date at this time. What we have seen when trying to procure these vehicles is some things that are tricky for our operations that I wanted y'all to be aware of. The limited availability is number one. A lot of places have them on the negotiated contracts, but the profit's not there, they're not gonna bid them. The configurations, as we've gone through, that truck right there, the short body, crew cab, 4-wheel drive is what you get. There are none with long bodies that meet our operations, which is problematic, which leads to excessive costs. We bid a vehicle that runs $28,000 to $32,000. We get bids back for that vehicle in hybrid or electric for $66,000. We have not moved forward with that just because of cost prohibitive. We have refusal to bids and then the long lead times and canceled orders. We have attempted over the last year, since last November, 13 bids for hybrid or electric vehicles. 0 have landed in the past year. We have one electric vehicle on order that continues to get pushed out for our partners in utilities. It's an e-transit van. We're going to test that application immediately. We're excited about it. It's going to take some time before it's here. But when it lands, you all will know, and we'll start the process of advertising, let people know we've got our EVs. Which brings us to other challenges in the industry to be aware of other than procurement. When we are delaying the availability of replacements, we have a rapidly aging fleet, which is shifting maintenance burdens onto an already stressed out fleet services department. We're not complaining. We're rising to the occasion. We're going to meet the challenge. But as the equipment gets older, your ability to plan your maintenance goes down. Every year after the replacement schedule becomes more chaos. So as it ages, we are becoming reactive. Our customers are growing more frustrated because when we are short-staffed and we're not able to plan the repairs, you have more downtime. You're not able to drop it off for an oil change like you're used to because we've had catastrophic failures we're having to work in. It is taxing fleet services to maintain the older fleet, but we're doing it. We're doing the best we can. Parts obsolescence and shortages, we have vehicles that are going down and sitting for months because as the vehicles age, the parts change. Manufacturers shift manufacturing processes, and when people realize I can't get a headlight, I can't get a fuel filter, they buy 3,000 of them and throw them in their warehouse because they're going to use them. That creates shortages. We've got some where we can't get hydraulic filters. Truck's fine, repaired. Can't get the hydraulic filter, can't send it out. So that's an example. And then all that's leading to an increased number of vehicles being taken out of service. I continue to be the bad guy on a daily basis and inform our customers and our partner departments, I can't give you the vehicle back. It's not financially sound to pour $12,000 into a transmission of a vehicle that when we send to auction, we'll get $6,000 for. We are pulling vehicles out of service quickly out of a financial necessity to keep things rolling forward. That is creating frustration amongst our customers. We're doing what we can to find flexibility. We have very little spare vehicles at Fleet Services. We're getting people asking us to grab vehicles we're sending to auction with 300,000 miles, pull them back into service. We can't do that. That's an increased maintenance burden that we can't put on our already stressed staff. So we're making those decisions. But it's growing frustration. I wanted y'all to be aware. We're doing what we can, but it is growing amongst our partner departments. Manufacturing issues is another thing. We were very close last year to jumping on, I won't say the brand name, some electric pickup trucks. As soon as we were ready, we had the money, we were getting ready to go forward. Battery fires killed production. Orders went out the window, so we paused, punted, kept those funds, and looked elsewhere. Unfortunately, they weren't productive, but we were there. As we move forward, we're seeing newer vehicles are being a little less reliable, both on heavy and light equipment. Everything's going for gas mileage, so you're seeing V6s go to 4 cylinders.
Yeah.
Turbo the 4-cylinder when you need 6-cylinder performance, which is excellent for fuel economy. When a airflow sensor in a turbo goes out, and all of them are even put into production models, and you can't get an airflow sensor because there's 6 in the nation, it's becoming problematic on that end. With the reliability of diesels, diesel used to be, you run them 300 years into the ground until they rust, and you got an engine. With the aftermarket treatment systems we're having, increased sensors, those are becoming more finicky, less reliable, much more labor intensive. So it's changing. The manufacturing is changing. And then the higher repair costs are tied to manufacturing issues because as manufacturers are chasing ways to lighten vehicles, they're changing the materials and they're changing the processes. What used to be a body on frame for some SUVs is now a unibody, which is okay, but it's got crumple points for occupant protection. So when it is in an accident, it crumples. You throw on the additional layer that manufacturers are going lighter for aluminum. When aluminum crumples, it's like a beer can. There's only so much you can straighten back out. $26,000 cars that get front impacts, crumple zones, frames bent, we're having to take it out of service, brand new vehicles. Changing manufacturing is having an impact on us as well. The UAW strikes, the big 3, they're over, thank goodness. But there will be rippling impacts that are coming on that from parts we're expecting. And some of our things that are already in production schedules are being moved back, but have not been canceled because of the strike directly. Order allocation is a new one we learned about over the past couple, it's been 2 years now. What that is where the big 3 essentially say, we're looking out for our big customers. Winston-Salem, you guys generally place 50 vehicles orders with us directly. Because of our regulation on our allocation, we're going to give you 30 units. Doesn't matter if Jane's got 35, doesn't matter if Frank's got 70, and we can get them all, they bid it. As soon as it hits the manufacturer side of things, they cancel anything that's over 30 units. So we're navigating that. When we get orders, it's incumbent on us, when we're aware of that, to know where the priorities are so we can schedule those 30 units efficiently for our operations. Vacancy rates, we are now closer to 40% since that was published. We're doing the best we can, but we're pushing through. The last thing I want to touch base on is the omnibus. This is a California regulation that's taking aim at emissions of heavy vehicles. The expectation is 25 and 26 models reduce their NO2, nitric oxide emissions by 75%, and then the 27 models need to do it by 95%. What that is putting the onus back on the manufacturers. People that aren't off their replacement schedules are lining up now to throw in a ton of orders before the additional regulations kick in, before the additional emissions kick in, because history shows us when there's a switch in emissions, the reliability goes down significantly for the first 3-4 years until they get all the bugs out and get a system that works. This is going to be also an increased cost to us, 20 to 30% potentially, on heavy equipment vehicles. It's coming, but that is something else that is causing us to have to rush to get the replacement done. So it's not all doom and gloom. We're going to navigate through that, but the areas of focus we're looking at pushing through, so you all know we're committed, is number one, alternative purchasing. I mentioned we're working with our partners in purchasing to be at the table. We've communicated with some of our vendors recently, even up the last couple weeks, a letter of intent. Will that suffice as an order? Some say yes. That commits us to nothing, essentially says Fleet Services recommends buying this. If council approves it on this date, we'll get a PO turned around to you. And that's reserving our spot in line for some of these vendors. So it's getting us to the table quicker, getting us through the processes. We're looking at other options for alternative purchasing to keep us fast in the market, able to adapt to what becomes available. Fleet is also taking on the role of fleet utilization and right sizing. Our customers have gotten used to 3/4 ton diesel trucks because they're comfortable, they're good. But as we're going through the specification process, is it necessary for every one of your trucks to be a 3/4 ton diesel truck because you have one trailer you need to pull? We're pushing back saying, no, we will buy you a half ton truck that better meets your needs. You need to figure out how to staff to pull that trailer when you need it. So we're meeting in the ground to try and lower the size of vehicles to help our customers, but also meeting the need when they need to. Fleet utilization study, we're going through our current fleet and looking at ways we can take back vehicles or identify vehicles that don't meet the needs or utilization we'd like, and trying to create a pool vehicle to reassign so we do have some spare vehicles for our partners in the other departments. We're looking at EV purchases. We're very excited about it. We're waiting for the final release of some federal funds, which we will use to purchase vehicles of different classes. This is going to be tremendous for people who aren't exposed to EVs. Once you drive one, you figure out it's pretty awesome. It's an exhilarating experience, but people are scared for whatever reason or misunderstand, don't think it'll work for them for whatever reason. We're going to put them in their hands. We're going to prove it to them that it can work for them in Winston-Salem. So we're waiting on that. We'll be excited when we get the go on that, and we'll make that as soon as possible. We have a propane expansion grant for our partners in public safety. It's a biofuel system. It's kind of like what we already have on some of their interceptor units, and it's a supplemental fuel source in case we were to have crisis on gas again. And then the big thing is we're working through the process to get an RFP, RFQ done to develop a plan and framework for the electrification of our city fleet, which includes charging infrastructure and further use of alternative fuels where we can electrify. We're doing that after receiving feedback from many of our partners who have jumped ahead in the EV procurement and seeing that one here, one there doesn't work when you have to come back and break the ground up again and run conduit because you grew your EV use at a location. So we're going to use this to be our methodical plan to get us towards a full transition so that we can do it wisely, do it once, and identify these areas to push forward with electrification. So the summary just basically goes over much of what I mentioned in this presentation, that we have a rapidly aging fleet. We have several challenges that, in our opinion, the best ability is availability, and we need to take what is available right now, and that we are committed to greening the fleet as we move forward to the future. I'll open it up for any questions.
First of all, Mr. Geis, thank you so much. And I want to publicly apologize for talking about you going long-winded. No, seriously, sometimes you got to own up. This is one of the best reports or presentations. I've been on this council for 15 years. You a rock star, baby. You're a rock star. The way you could meticulously explain everything that some of us have been getting beat up for years. You all aren't buying cars electric enough. You all need to, and to try to explain it from us. See, we're not subject matter experts. You're the subject matter expert. And you have just given a class, a 101 honor class on where we are as a city, on all the hard work you and your department and team do to try to balance all of these changes in this world to the public. And we may have to call you out of some community meetings. I'm just telling you that now because this is good. Because everybody, a lot of people think we are dragging our feet. But just as I told people years ago, you can't switch all of your regular market vehicles out for EV. We don't have the infrastructure. What do we do if there's a compliance quality issue with these vehicles or whatever, and now we have nothing? It's a balancing act. And I applaud you and your team, and all I can say is you got my support. I'll stand on the hill with you. Any questions or comments from the other members? Councilmember Monday.
Everything you said about EV and ordering hybrid, I sit on the Piedmont Authority for Regional Transportation. I've heard this exactly from other fleet managers, so I understand that. Keep it up, keep trying until we can get them. I am concerned, or not concerned, I just would like to see for Greensboro and Durham what their numbers are, because if we're at par, we can say, it's happening in our peer cities. If we're not, I'd rather know that before someone else brings it up to me. So if I could get that, or we could get that comparison, that'd be great. And this next question is not a rhetorical question, but I don't expect an answer. I think I heard you say that you've missed purchasing opportunities because you have to come to us for approval to purchase individual vehicles. Is that by law? Because that, to me, if we're sitting on a corporate board, that's an operational issue. We would tell you up front what we need out of a fleet, and you go order. So it seems to me that we're just dragging down the process by having to approve every single purchase. Let's approve the budget and then use your subject matter expert knowledge to order what we need. So,
By general, go ahead.
I was going to say, I assume he's following the purchasing. Sorry, I assume he's following the purchasing statutes when trying to acquire these vehicles, and that's what's.
And those are statutes, state statutes?
Yes.
So we can't change that?
No.
Correct.
I'm gonna challenge the city attorney for a moment there. And nowhere I've worked, we've had to take, once things have been approved by council, having to take them back through the whole bid process again. So I think let me work with the attorney's office to see if we can't streamline this process to see if we can
It seems like we should
help
be able
not
to.
have some of those problems.
I'd be a cheerleader for that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Councilmember Clark, then
Yeah,
Councilmember
Just
Scipio.
another rhetorical question, but if you come to the Finance Committee tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we probably have 10 items on there where we're buying something, not vehicles. A lot of it's computer software and everything. But it is what it is, and I'm assuming we vote on those. And it seems like it's every month we have 10 to 12 on the Finance Committee. I know it's a dollar limit, but you can't get much of anything for $10,000 or $20,000 limits or whatever they are. But anyway, glad we got a new guy, new sheriff in town going to look at it.
Councilmember Scipio.
Thank you so much for this report. Again, we just had one in public safety that was an eye-opener in how our departments are operating and the challenges that they are having. And I really appreciate it. And I thank you for telling us the truth about what you're having to deal with. We just had under the fire department, made aware of our aging fleet there. Now you're presenting more aging vehicles and equipment, and at some point, we really need to take a hard line of what we're doing with maintaining excellence for our staff and for the community. So I thank you for this great report.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
They're not old, they're heritage.
Thank you, Mr. Guy, so much. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. I really want to get this next item done. City Attorney and Mr. Pate, Clerk, please call the last item.
Item G7, report on 2023 Carolina Classic Fair, located in the North Ward.
Ms. Hartley.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Adams and the rest of the City Council. This year, we had a great Carolina Classic Fair. We were blessed with fantastic weather, no rain. The fair saw an 18% increase in attendance compared to 2022. Our final total was 270,190 attendees. Our advanced sale was also astounding. That went up 80.85% over 2022. The fair generated $1,303,637 in unaudited gate and advanced sales. That marks a substantial increase from 2022, which earned $1,070,159 million. Straight shows our carnival. They also contributed an impressive $1,089,957 this year. That's a 20.62% increase in carnival revenue compared to 2022, which was $903,581. They continue to be a great partner. They celebrated their 100th anniversary this year. You were there to help celebrate that. Thank you. The Winston-Salem Police Department this year reported minimal criminal activity, and that's attributed to the experience of the officers, the support, cooperation of our other security units and straight shows. The police really stepped up. Everywhere you looked, they kept everything under control. I can't say enough about them. Some of our entertainment this year, Monday night concert, the Daz Band, the Family Stone, they were presented by QMG. That drew approximately 1,500 attendees to our grandstand. The Chase Matthews, Dylan Marlowe, and Landon Parker concert, sponsored by 93.1 The Wolf, was 3,500 attendees. And Shane and Shane, Jeremy Rosado and Seth Schluter concert. That was sponsored by WBFJ, and they also drew around 3,500 attendees during the grandstands. Some are demolition derbies. They run 4 nights in the grandstand. They pack the house every single night. That's about 5,000 each night for those. And also our rodeo that runs on each Sunday. They also, it's an all-day event, on and off. They also presented great numbers. Some other entertainment on our clock tower stage, the Gospel and Jazz Fest was combined this year onto one day. The earlier part of the day, we had the Gospel Fest, and in the evening, the Jazz Fest. We partnered with the Chronicle with that, and that went over very well. One of our other special days, the Hispanic Heritage Day, was our last Sunday, and we partnered with the Hispanic League and the radio station Lale. And that stage hosted a diverse range of local and regional talent really throughout the fair. Our wine tasting in Yesterday Village remained a sought-after destination. Our Bush Beer Garden this year generated over $60,000 in beer sales. Our souvenir booth this year raked in total sales of $14,912. That's a 30% increase over last year. This year's fair, we offered many discounted options for people to save money. Our advanced sale discounts for admission, wristbands. We continued our $5 welcome back on that first Friday, where everyone gets in for $5. We had Straits this year, did a special promotion, 100 minutes of free rides. The community really enjoyed that. We had our school day promotion was new this year, and that was sponsored by Deer Park Spring Water. We had people, it was free admission if they brought in school items, 3 packaged school items. That resulted in over 10,000 school items being gathered that will be distributed through the Forsyth County school system. Another promotion, our $2 Tuesday, that went over very well. That offered the $2 admission, $2 rides, $2 food samplings. Our early bird specials, that's $5 admissions during the weekdays from 11 to 4. And on Wednesday, our canned food day, which was sponsored by Honda Can-Am Sea-Doo, that generated over 30,000 pounds of food that will be distributed throughout our community, which was very much needed. We also had Military Appreciation Day, sponsored by WXII and Piedmont Federal, that provided free admission to our veterans and their families. And our Family Fun Day offered free children's admission, pay one price kiddie rides to thousands of children on Friday, October 6th. So we did offer quite a few cost-saving options for our community to take advantage of, and I think everything went very well. Does anyone have any questions about any of that?
Just a comment.
Okay.
I think you and your team and everyone at the fairground and Mr. Rao, you rebounded very well over the past couple of years. I know when COVID hit, we were all like, oh, wow, okay, no fair, and then no fair, and then we're going to have a fair, but it won't be like the fair. And I think you did a tremendous job this year, especially the Straits. I enjoyed meeting the whole generational family. The fact that you were willing and they were willing to come up with new ways to attract new customers, as well as knowing what the economy was, to ensure that every family, every child, somewhat like Christmas, they had an opportunity that they could bring their children or others to the fair and enjoy a great day. I'm looking forward to what you guys got coming next year. I'm excited. Like you said, the weather, we couldn't have asked for better, and I'm just very proud of all of you that made that possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? You see, they ready to get out of here. They don't have no questions. Look at Ms. Tony. She's like, yeah.
Keep you.
Thank you all so much. This meeting is adjourned.